Mike Weatherley.
I thank you, Deputy Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to deliver my maiden speech to the House as the newly elected representative of the good people of Hove and Portslade. I'd also like to thank the previous speakers for their excellent contributions, including those from Brighton Kemp Town, Sunderland Central and Sefton Central, who claim to have the best seaside towns in the country. I will try and persuade them otherwise later. I would also like to pay tribute to the work of my predecessor, Celia Barlow. Celia worked tirelessly during her 5-year term on local and national matters. She was just as formidable in the House as she was on the doorsteps, and I wish her well in whatever career path she now pursues. I would also like to mention another former member for Hove, Sir Tim Sainsbury, whose advice and support over the years have been invaluable to me. Brighton and Hove, of course, takes its name from two neighbouring historic towns which are situated on the delightfully sunny and sometimes windy spot on the south coast. From the inclusion of Hove in the name of the city, it might rightly be assumed that those living in my constituency are mindful of the unique identity with respect to our larger neighbour Brighton. Us Hove residents are often asked if we live in Brighton, and our defensive response gives rise to the well-known phrase, Hove actually. I'll be keeping a close eye on Hove's individuality, and that means the Regency and Victorian architecture, wide boulevards and colourful beach huts. But I'm keeping an even closer eye on that of Portslade. Portslade's history, and indeed its contribution to local affairs generally, is just as rich as Hove's. I'm so keen to see that fact recognised that I'll be campaigning to change the name of the constituency to Hove and Portslade. The bedrock of our community has always been our elderly population, though Hove has changed much demographically in recent years. It's a friendly place and many different cultures are represented. I particularly like to pay tribute to my friends the Coptic Christians in my constituency from Sudan and Egypt, a thriving Muslim community which includes a number of entrepreneurial Iranians, and a well-established Jewish community whose roots date back to the 18th century. I'm also proud to represent, as indeed my honourable friend from Brighton Kemp Town mentioned, the LGBT community in the city. I come to politics from a background in film and music, and I'll be challenging my passion for each into support for local talent. It is no secret that Hove is home to a great number of musicians, some of international fame. It is also home to the excellent Brighton Institute of Modern Music. Hove's cinematic past, though, is often overlooked, and it is often forgotten that the pioneers of Hove developed techniques at the end of the Victorian era which are still in use around the world today. The distinctive beaches and buildings of Brighton and Hove translate extremely well onto film, which is why they have featured in countless films over the years. Classics include Brighton Rock, Oh What a Lovely War, Carry On at Your Convenience, Carry On Girls and Quadrophenia. And in recent years there has been The End of the Affair, Circus, London to Brighton, and the rather curiously named Brighton Walk, the legend of ganja boxing. Promoting the city as a location for filming and indeed as a place for media business to thrive must be carried out in partnership with my council colleagues. This will be just one area where we're able to work together. Another is the promotion of local businesses. As a qualified management accountant and past owner of one of the area's largest manufacturers, winning 2 Queen's Awards and the Sussex Company of the Year, I'll be making supporting small to medium enterprises one of my biggest priorities. I do believe that all councils should hand back some powers from London, and as an example, Brighton and Hove City Council has limited powers to pursue owners of neglected listed buildings for reimbursement for costly emergency repairs. So I've written to my Right Honourable friend, the Secretary of State for Culture, Olympics, Media and Sport, to see if there are more powers might be handed to councils to deal with these irresponsible people. With regard to sport, Hove is home to the well-established and successful Sussex Cricket County Club, the winners of last year's 2020 Cup, which they've successfully started defending this week. On football, I've been a keen supporter of Seagulls, Brighton and Hove Albion, and during my teenage years, I used to go and watch them when they actually did play in Hove. We should have soon have our new stadium in Falmer, of course, and deserved promotion in due course. Brighton and Hove doesn't do everything together, though, and Hove has the more successful of the rugby clubs, which won the Sussex Cup just last month. Secondary education in my constituency has been a hot topic in recent years, and I've deliberately avoided putting a partisan twist onto my maiden speech. But one thing that I will say is that Hove and Portslade are just the sort of places that will benefit greatly from the policies of my Right Honourable friend, the Secretary of State for Education. I look forward to being involved in any way that I can, which includes supporting Portslade Community College being awarded academy status. Hove needs a new primary school, and I'm working with parents and councillors to see what the best options are. The process has just taken an interesting twist, with news that the much-loved Connaught Centre has been vacated as an adult education base. It began as a school in 1884, and I'm keen to ensure that a return to its original purpose is investigated in full. There are so many local heroes that I could mention who put their life into educating our children, but I'd like to mention one man, Bob Wall, who runs an extremely tight ship at Hillside Special School in Portslade. When I think of a model head teacher, I think of that man. I'd also like to single out several charities, but there are so many that I could fill that whole speech, but just to name a few, the Martless Hospice, Impact Initiative, Off the Fence, Alzheimer's, Macmillan and Emmaus all stand out as beacons of excellence in my constituency. Coming back to music, I perhaps bring something new to the House in the form of my huge passion for rock and heavy metal. I once rashly pledged a few years ago that I'd be the first Member of Parliament to wear an Iron Maiden t-shirt in the Chamber. Mr Deputy Speaker, I may be in touch soon to see how I can deliver that promise without breaking too many rules. The benefit of this country's musical success to our economy is often understated. In 2008, for example, overseas earnings rose 15% to 140 million. I was particularly delighted, therefore, to see a commitment to live music in the Coalition policy document. On that musical note, Mr Deputy Speaker, I'd like to thank you again for the honour of letting me do my maiden speech today. Thank you.